All right, well, welcome to the Positively Criticized podcast. I'm with the guest host, Ryan Reed. The real Ryan Reed.
The one and only.
You got that?
Oh yeah, you won't find another.
There you go. But, so how you been today, man?
Been alright.
All right?
Yeah. Woke up this morning, took the bike for a ride, enjoyed some of this beautiful weather. Other than that, trying to just enjoy it. The cold and snow is terrible, so I was just happy to finally have a nice day.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely been a really nice day. I wasn't able to get on the bike myself, trying to prepare for this today. But so far, just trying to figure out how to be less white.
Well, if we had any way to be less white, we'd be called privilege.
White privilege, huh? White privilege. Oh, okay. But yeah, no. I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, you got Coca-Cola trying to train people how to be less white. So my question is, what are you supposed to be more of?
Man, if you follow the masses, the more people are just starting to, follow what they're told on their phone, what they're told in the news. Mainstream is always going to be what people believe. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, whatever's fed through, the technology devices we have now, whether it be your TV, phone, radio, whatever. People are going to follow that. And like I was telling you earlier, with CNN being, broadcasted worldwide. Fox isn't broadcasted worldwide. RT isn't broadcasted worldwide. Al Jazeera, not broadcasted worldwide. So you get a one-page view spread across the world. And that's, you got people that come here, people and have family in other countries. Well, that links up. It spreads to one person, spreads to another, kind of like COVID.
Spreads like wildfire. That's definitely spreads like the wildfire, the COVID. But I'm just trying to figure out in a way though, from a company standpoint, training somebody how to be less white. I just don't I would love a top 10, and maybe the listeners can help out with this and maybe submit some stuff in on top 10 ways we can be less white.
I've trained employees for a Fortune 500 company, and it wasn't, a color wasn't necessarily in the training curriculum. It was, a person was just, if they could perform, they could do the job, then they can, have the job. I mean, being less white, I feel like that's something that is, being portrayed as like almost a cop-out, to, stand up for what you actually believe in. Everything's in the media is always, what we were talking earlier with the white supremacists, and the Klan isn't walking around anymore, so it's like America, the melting pot of the world, is not built on racism, so it's kind of mind-blowing that people actually believe that, and these big corporations are buying into it too, so that's pretty rough.
I think from a business standpoint, that the business is buying into it the way they're buying into it, I think they're shooting themselves in the foot.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's a product you're selling, and I mean, even when you look back at NASCAR and stuff like that, their followers are definitely not going to abide by what they're trying to do. Oh, yeah. That's not their clientele. It's just, that's just ultimately how you look at it. But yeah, I just think I would love to, from a comedic standpoint, what can we think about how to be less white? Like what are some things you could think of that really white people really do?
Well, I mean, I think we can, us as white people, to stop being more white. I think we could start by maybe getting a different bar of soap for everybody in the house and not just use one bar of soap. I think, maybe we should move away from that. We should just get everybody their own bar and sheer away from that one bar per shower soap thing. That might help us stop being white.
Or just give everybody their own loofah.
Yeah, do that too. I mean, hey, that'll stop us from being more white. I mean, maybe we should. That's kind of a tough thing to ask, because it's almost like crazy to even talk about that. Here we are, 2021, talking about that. It is madness.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, it's madness how we're talking about. The thing I always think about, like I said, you're going to be less of something, but you got to be more of something. So what exactly are they trying to say to be more of without saying it? And that's kind of where it ends it with me, right there. It makes no sense.
I mean,
Just be a good human being.
Yeah,
That's it.
Saying it alone is mind blowing. And like we were talking earlier, with people that, you know, you think that people actually want this. One group of people speaks for masses, and that's not the case whatsoever. You know, I mean, the American people are tired, and you can see it in the people. You know, even neighbors I've talked to that I just started talking to recently because they're tired of what's going on. You know, we had some neighbors, you know, bring us dinner, and I've never had that happen before. As a, you know, a caring thing. And it was, you know, it restored a little bit of that faith in humanity that, you know, maybe not all people are totally, you know, just trash, you know, so.
Yeah, no, not all people are trash, and it just comes down to, you know, when you try to separate things by culture, ethnicities, and stuff like that, it just doesn't work. It's human beings.
People are people, man. People are going to do what they want to do, whether they're black, white, purple, green, you know. And I mean, I know a lot of people from all different walks of life, man. And, you know, some of the people, you know, still deal with me even though they know what I believe in, or, you know, how I say things, but those are the same people that know me, you know, outside of, you know, podcast or anything like that. They know me personally, know my personal life. So, you know, me being able to say the things I say, if you know me, you'll know why I'm saying it, you know, because it's just nonsense, you know.
Yeah, it's knowing the person, definitely. So yeah, I mean, I think like from that aspect, but I mean, let's kind of dive into why you chose the real Ryan Reed. Was there some imposters out there trying to impersonate you?
Man, I was thinking about a name, and you know, I had even Cameron from the riding page was like, you know, Ryan had to be on, and I was like, you know, there's only one Ryan Reed, you know, and I was told, and when I was in high school, I used to tell people, you know, there's only one Ryan Reed, you're meeting him, you know, so. The real Ryan Reed, you need to know who the real one is with the beard.
You know what's funny? It's because it's like, I actually, when I started trying to put myself out there on the internet, I had on my LinkedIn, someone came across me. Oh, damn. Two Ryan Reeds. But what happened with I actually got a phone call one day from another Sean Mance.
Really?
He actually called me. What it is, and this is really funny. The story starts out where Justin Bieber's people, the people that run him to do his thing, they ran across my LinkedIn profile, and they thought I was the other Sean Mance, the Canadian Sean Mance.
Wow.
Now, the Canadian Sean Mance does light fabrications and stuff. So when Justin Bieber would buy these vehicles, he would have things done to him. He would bring them to this guy's shop, and that was Sean Mance. This guy's he has about 6, 7, 10 years on me. So he saw my profile, so he decided to call my phone one day, leave me a voicemail, say, "Hey, Sean Mance, it's just Sean Mance. We should give me a call." And so I called this guy. We probably talked for about 2 hours on the phone, back and forth. Seems that his relatives and everything are actually from this area. But, you know, it was just kind of funny, and we had a pretty good long conversation about just back and forth on this thing. It's kind of funny. So, like when things come out on the internet, or like new apps or anything that come out, I have to jump on this stuff really quick because he's trying to build himself up too, as well. I'm trying to build myself up, so we kind of compete for the Sean Mance. So he always ends with usually Sean Mance 1.
Oh,
so right. Maybe I should start doing the real Sean Mance.
You should do the real one.
I should do the real Sean Mance.
I think if I was ever looking
so that way they're going to know I'm the real one, and he's the imposter.
And I mean, I would even maybe put not the imposter Sean Mance. You know,
there.
I mean, do that one.
The imposter. You know who else could probably use the real in front of their name now? Mr. Potato Head.
You know, my whole thing with that was there was a Mrs. too, and I just don't understand what happens to the Mister now if there's just the Mrs. Does the Mrs. Potato Head dissipate too? You know,
he's just going to be a single single mom potato.
Maybe make them flapjack, single mom potato.
But what I don't understand is when you look at Mr. Potato Head, you attach everything on him. So why wouldn't they just, if he's going to make them gender neutral, why don't Fisher Price just sell, or Hasbro, not Fisher Price, why don't they just sell a gender reassignment kit? Dad can drill the potato,
You know,
and
it worked.
attach things.
It worked for Caitlyn Jenner. I mean,
Yeah, there you go.
it should work for Mr. Potato Head. I feel like that should be. I feel like that should be pushed more. You know, maybe we can get the Kardashians on board with that. You know, pushing for the Mr. Potato Head expansion kit.
The expansion pack.
Yeah, the expansion.
Literally, the expansion pack.
Literally.
Add it if you want it.
And I mean, you could switch it up too. If you wanted just the top and not the bottom, or the bottom and just the top. You know, I mean, I'm all about choice, man. That's what the great thing about America is being able to do whatever you want to. It's choice, you know, and that's the great thing about it. But when you're being forced to, you know, change these things that are staples in some of our lives, you know, not so much other people now. You know, it's just nuts to see it. Even, you know, Land O'Lakes, water, the Indian's gone, but the land's still there because, you know, that's just how we do things in America. Maybe we could do that. That could help us stop being white, you know, stop stealing more land, you know. But
well, the funny thing about me is I'm actually a quarter Choctaw Indian. So, which, you know, so I like to say that I stole my own land. But the funny thing about that, the Choctaw Indians were actually the very first Indian tribe to sell out the Indians. They were the first ones to sign the treaty over to America, to the U.S. government, to basically give up their own land.
You know, it goes back even further than that. People have been selling people out since Caesar, since time. Mm-hmm. You know, since time started, since man started, people have been selling them out. I guarantee you somebody sacrificed a caveman to a dinosaur to get some dinosaur. I guarantee you that. You know, it's human nature to do that, but it's also human nature to care about people, and, you know, if somebody's struggling, to take care of them. And now I feel like, you know, with what's going on with the masking and you know, the political, you know, sidage right and left is just, you know, really putting the spike in between people, you know, and you really get to feel, you know, who you're going to relate to. And I've had some arguments that have been heated with people I love, you know, and, you know, to the point of wrestling on the floor. But, you know, it wouldn't change the fact that I wouldn't do anything for them, but you could, you know, those different sides of the stories really play. And you go back 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you would have never had that conversation, you know, that you're having now. Even doing the things you do now, you know, even at work, even your work life is different. Your child's school life is different, mm-hmm. You know, and that's all changed because we let them change it. You know, this is America. If people were scared to get sick, well, then stay inside. The people that aren't scared to get sick, well, they can go outside. It's America. It's your choice, and being forced to do it, you know, is against the supreme law of the land, and that's what I follow. You know, that's the way I was taught. So, and I still feel like I do that today. But, you know, you have so much left and right that you don't get to have that middle. You know, if you're in the middle, like, you know, the right does their thing and keeps the rich rich, and the Democrats are, you know, do their thing and they just want power. You know, I just want America. I just want America back. You know, where you had barbecues and concerts and, you know, all that good stuff. So, and all that being stripped away really makes you appreciate, you know, a loud crowd, or, mm-hmm. You know, I mean, a packed park, or, you know, even you know, school events, you know, soccer games, stuff like that. You really miss that kind of interaction. You know, when it's gone, it's kind of crazy to see.
Yeah, I think that from that aspect, you know, I think people are starting to kind of bring it back in a way, but adapt, which is getting kind of weird, how they adapt to certain things. I think if you just went back to, you know, the way it was, you think it's going to get back to the way it was?
You know, you can't go back to the way it was because they already have the hold now on, you know, on pandemic restraint. You know, so I mean, that, you know, when I was a kid, I was sent to another household to catch the chicken pox. You know, I mean, get it young so you don't get it when you're older. You know, I mean, so being raised like that, and, you know, having people now, you know, families, literally wrapping half their house apart so they can't, you know, touch or, you know, physically contact the other person because they're scared of a cold. It's just nonsense. You know, that's not the America that I was raised in, you know, or how I was raised to perceive America, you know. So, but I mean, you know, there is terrible shit going on, you know. I mean, I cannot not say that, you know, police are loose all the time. I mean, I'm the number one guy that'll tell you when a cop gets behind me, I'm either flipping a license plate up or, you know, even though I don't, you know, not doing anything. It's just because those guys are paid extortionists, you know, they're paid to take money from you, you know, so, you know, and the police state is terrible. And you know, you just gotta, it's just crazy at how loose things are getting now. You know, you got crowds of people attacking cops and stuff like that, you know, especially with the House bills that are attacking cops, you know.
Mhm.
We had my son's birthday party and had a drunk woman that we had no idea who she was. You know, we're cleaning up the street and she came down the street, destroyed my car. I mean, destroyed it, drove right into it. In reverse, backed off the car, drove further past my car and almost drove into my neighbor's house, almost hit one of my neighbors. And, you know, we called the cops and it was a 28-minute response time. You know, is that because lack of, you know, or, you know, I mean, what's going to happen in those 28 minutes? You know, I mean, so you really, you know, cops are cops, they have a super serious job to do, but, you know, who's going to protect you when you need them? You know, I mean, you want to defund the police and get rid of the cops, you're asking for a whole can of worms that I think people really aren't ready to take, you know, so.
Well, I mean, I can remember as a kid growing up, even like we lived in rural areas where the county police were to, you know, police that area, and you're right. I mean, I've seen up to 2 hours response time. Mm-hmm. You know, they were clear on another area, but one cop for like so many miles. It's kind of crazy. You got any crazy stories of growing up with the cops?
You know, I got some stories with the cops that are pretty decent.
Maybe
you know,
some of the statute or the limitations of race you could talk about.
Yeah, I do got a couple with some statute of limitations. You know, I've always been into cars. You know, building cars, and my dad taught me a lot of stuff about that. And I've always been wanting to roll around and have something built. And we ended up going to a friend's birthday party, and I was just trying to show baby Ryan, you know, a little bit, you know, this is what my dad taught me type stuff, and I started chasing another car. Well, when I did, I didn't see the state trooper that was on the far left lane, and, you know, we get up to about 100, 105-ish, because that's about all the Civic had in her, and he ended up turning his lights on. Well, you know, that's child endangerment and all that good stuff, so I ended up going around the cop and just smashing it and leaving him, and pulled off the highway because I lost him in some traffic. I was able to slide through some cars and get in the middle of the road, and I got off the highway, and I told, you know, my wife now, I told her to get out of the car so I could just take off because, you know, he's going to call his friends. And she told me, you know, I'm not going to get out of the car. Like, you're not going to drop me off here. You know, it wasn't the best of neighborhoods that we were in. And we ended up just hightailing it, you know, every stop, like all the way to Indiana just to stop and make a birthday party that we said we were going to be at. So I think that was, you know, that was about 7 years ago, so statute of limitations are up for that, you know. But I guarantee you that cop wasn't thinking that the little rice box was going to do that to him, and he probably told his friends it was a Porsche, not a shit box, you know.
That's usually, you know, the sleeper cars.
Oh yeah, well I think it was more a driver than anything, you know. It was just able to put it between other cars, and I mean, you've ridden on the bikes with me and stuff like that, you know.
Oh yeah, you're a kamikaze.
No.
Well, I mean, not at that level and stuff like that. I'm a kamikaze as fast as I can be on my moped. But
sometimes you gotta be, you know. But I try to keep my cool. Now, you know, I got, you know, having another kid and, you know, having a newer baby is, you know, even having Ryan, you gotta kind of slow it down. You know, you really gotta slow it down. We recently had a tragedy in the family, and, you know, it really makes you put into perspective, especially even today being out riding. You know, really put into perspective, you know, how loose you can get, you know, how far do you push it, you know, and what you can and can't do, you know, so.
yeah, no, I mean, when I'm out there, it's, you know, you kind of get a little bit, but that's one reason why I like riding a smaller bike, is because it keeps me grounded.
Oh, yeah.
I can't go that fast.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I know that if I had that, I would be going there. It's just, I mean, every car I've had, I've maxed out.
Yeah, you know, I don't want to. There's some people listening, and I don't want to say that I maxed it out, but we've been close.
It's definitely. I mean, my first car was a 1975 Cutlass with the 350 rocket in it.
Okay.
And I maxed that thing out everywhere. But I never got a speeding ticket in that car. But it was some insane times in that car. Insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, like what's the fastest you've gone?
I'm gonna keep that at disclosure, man. I've been over triple digits. We're just gonna say that. We're just gonna keep it that way. Because I might be sleeping on the couch if I continue. So
Oh,
how
okay.
fast I
I'm talking about when you were 16. I'm talking about yesterday.
funny story is, before we had kids, before we had our son, I worked 2 jobs, was going to college, I was doing a lot of different stuff, and me and Trisha decided to go meet her dad. I was going to meet her dad for the first time in Louisiana, and I had a '04 SRT4 Neon, and it was a stage 2 AGP big turbo. I mean, it was a nice ride, and we drove it from Chicago all the way to Lafayette, Louisiana. I worked at UPS at the time, got off of work at 3 in the morning, and I just grabbed our clothes and we just left. So, we left probably like 3 in the morning and just kept heading south, and we made it all the way to Batesville, Mississippi, before I started hitting the warning bumps, and Trisha said, we're gonna stop. It's time to sleep. Well, we went to this shitbox hotel, and it was like $100 a room for like some ground level, like we're doing laundry outside type stuff, and there was a brand new Holiday Inn right next door. So it was like, gonna do the Holiday Inn thing. Well, went there and they were, grand opening and had all kinds of happy hour specials and stuff, and the manager's there, and he's like, hey, you guys are from Chicago, come on in, we'll get you some drinks. Well, we went in, had some drinks, met some people there, and had to leave the next day and go all the way to Lafayette from Mississippi. Mississippi's a huge state, it takes about 4.5 hours to get through. And we woke up the next morning and we had nothing. We had no shoes, we had no clothes, we had no keys, we had no wallets or purses. And we're looking around the room trying to find our things. And outside the door, Trisha was going to get some water, and all of our stuff was there in a bag. The keys were in a box of chicken wings, and my ID was in like a pile of ranch, and all of our clothes are scattered down the hallway, and it's just like, what is the deal here? So Trisha goes downstairs to get water because we were dying, and the manager's down there, and he's like, you guys got crazy last night. It was happy hour. Do you guys remember anything? We're like, no, not really. And he's like, well, you guys just drank all night and threw all your stuff through the hallways, and we had our maids and everybody grab all your stuff as you were throwing it back to the room. And so that was pretty rough to be told that the next day and get all your things handed back to you in a foreign place. So we ended up leaving there. And when we left there, another couple was leaving the same hotel, and they had a Corvette, like a newer, like a Z06 vet. And he was heading south too, so we ended up leaving at the same time. And we were scooting through Mississippi. It was so bad to the point where we made it through Mississippi in about 2.5 hours. I mean, over 140 plus the whole time chasing this vet in this SRT4. And we made it through Mississippi, hit Louisiana, and we were like, holy shit, man, we're like 2 hours out of schedule. And the old guy ended up stopping with me and my wife and was like, hey, man, is that thing got a 6-cylinder in it? And, it was just a little 2.4 liter with just a fatty turbo on it, good tune, and I was able to hang with him, and we were flying. And they have the 27-mile bridge down there, so it's 27 miles worth of just straight bridge road. So you're able to get super loose down there. And there's no cutoffs, so there's no cops to sit. So in that 27-mile span, you see them either when you get on or when you get off, so you can just, move around. And I mean, that was super, super cool to do. And then even going down there, we ended up, taking our dad for a ride, and he ended up digging the car, and we even went street racing down there the day before we left. And, that's, me and my wife have always done that. We've always went cruising or driving around at nighttime, and that's something that was like, hey, if we're on vacation, we should do it too, And doing it in foreign places is even funner because you get to see how other people, do their thing. Mm-hmm. Especially when you're from up here and you go down south in February and it's 80 degrees and you're like, hey, it's down season. How are you guys riding or driving? It's like, oh, it's 80 degrees all year, So it's nice.
It's definitely, it was kind of funny. We went down to Leroy County, Illinois here, and we went down to visit a friend. It was me and a couple buddies, and we went down there, and we met up with them. We kind of hung around the town a little bit. I think it was down in Clinton, Illinois, and I remember we watched some band. We left the band, and then we met these girls at the gas station, and they're like, "Oh, come to our house." So these guys. I remember we went over there, and these guys, we went and got some beer. So we were all underage. We went and got the beer. We went to the house, And then I remember two of the knuckleheads there. They started wrestling in the house, and for some reason we had to leave. And then we were in the cars. We had the beer in the car, and we were going down this gravel road. And we were following this Mustang. The Mustang's just hauling. I'm in a Grand Am, and we're just hauling behind this Mustang. And all of a sudden we saw a cop on the side of the road. And he just saw us go by, so he just comes out after us. I'm like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? So my buddy's throwing the beer out the window. He's throwing the beers just out the window, and, you know. And then we're gonna get pulled over. We're gonna get pulled over. And I remember, and I swear that cop just lost it. You saw the cop just kind of just go off. We're like, oh my God, what the heck? This cop just took. we got onto the interstate, and I remember we got on the interstate and just rode it like one. I think the car did like 130. We did like 130 all the way home back from Clinton, Illinois on the interstate. I remember just passing the semis. It was probably like 1 in the morning. I mean, there was nothing on the road, but that was like insane. I mean, just like it was a lot of dust. There's so much dust. You couldn't tell if the cop just gave up or if it wouldn't, you know. But it was a crazy night.
Gravel roads are always tough to drive on. I didn't even know anything about gravel roads until we moved out here, you know. And when we moved out here where Coal City Road is, I was taking baby Ryan somewhere. I think we were going to Burger King or something like that. And I was on Coal City Road, just heading straight. And I didn't know that the train tracks had a stoplight right there. Well, they didn't have the light. It was a sign there at the time. And I just went straight across Coal City Road, right across 53, stop sign and everything. I didn't get stopped. Baby Ryan's in the back of the car. I just jumped the tracks and was like, holy shit, there's a stop sign there, because I didn't live there, you know, so because it was new, you know, and it was all gravel at the time. It wasn't blacktop. And man, I think I was in a Corsica, a Chevy Corsica.
There you go.
Yeah, the good old race, the Corsi, man, one of the best cars I've ever had. And, you know, it did some damage to some people, but. Yeah, and you know, I ended up staying on the road, and I thought I was gonna get loose. And you know, 53 is a super busy road, but it was like 11 o'clock. We were, you know, going on a late night Burger King run, you know. So it was like, whoa, babe, you know, living out here, we need to watch the gravel roads, you know, and learn the surroundings before you do something like that. Even with the bikes, you know, hitting the gravel roads is, you know, brand new gravel road. It's like, oh my God.
I remember we were it was me, you, and Tyler on that. We hit that tarred road.
Oh yeah,
and we thought the tar was wet.
Oh,
so what were we doing? Like 15 miles an hour? That whole frontage road for 15 miles an hour just on our bikes. And then when we stopped for a second, we realized it was actually dry.
Yeah, that was pretty...
we had those cars were telling us to go by us.
Yeah, that was pretty rough. I even like the Starved Rock rides we did when we were out at the camper and stuff like that. Like the Starved Rock rides were some of the best, man. Like even riding the electric Harley was amazing. You know.
Oh yeah.
That was like one of the coolest things I ever did, man. You know, I mean, I wish they had longer charge, man. It'd be almost something I'd get into. But 150 miles, we do 150 miles in, you know, one trip, one way. You know. So,
oh yeah, the live wire.
Oh yeah.
That bike was so nice. That bike
was beautiful. If it had more range, it would be well.
Oh, the range.
But
that would have been great. But it was funny, like from an aspect one time where I was living in this basement apartment, and my wife had called and told me that it was flooding. And I'm like, it was raining when I left for the day, so I thought maybe the rain was coming in the window of the basement apartment or something. I thought maybe it was doing something like that. She goes, no, it's coming up from the floor, the drains. I'm like, oh, that's weird. I was actually almost down to Champaign, Illinois. I was in a Dodge Stratus coupe, and basically it was an Eclipse with a Dodge body on it.
Yeah. And
so I got down there, and right before I hit the exit, she's telling me this, and I'm like, oh my God. So I didn't miss the exit. I'm like, oh God. So then I was like, well, I was going down there to train an employee. I'm like, well, I got to go back home. The house is flooding. So I turn around on 57, and I just hit it. I was doing triple digits, down 57, and I went under one of those overpasses where the cops, this was when the cops were sitting up with their laser. Yep. The troopers were sitting with their laser, and they would have the cops lined up on the side of the road, and they would come after you.
Yep.
Well, I go underneath him, and I just see all the troopers on the right side. Every single one of them had somebody. I was like, sweet. and I just kept going. Like, but I made it home in like a ridiculous amount of time. Like, down 57, and we get to the house, and what it was actually flooding with raw sewage.
Oh.
Yeah, what happened was the silent alarm went off at the water treatment plant. Nobody heard it, obviously. And everything got backed up, and then it just started backing the sewage up into the apartment buildings. So like mine and everybody in those bottom floors of those apartment buildings were just flooded out.
Oh yeah, that's terrible.
But I remember I called my assistant at the time was in Kankakee. I was like, dude, go to my house and just start pulling stuff out of my house. And he grabbed one of the guys at the store, and they went over there, and they started like doing that. And my wife was throwing stuff like on the bed and putting stuff up on the
high ground.
But yeah, just making it as high as she could, to somebody could get there and start moving this stuff. But I remember I showed up, and I'm in like a dress shirt, pants, and I had those stupid little totes you put on your dress shoes so they don't get dirty when it's salty.
Yeah, like the socks.
Yeah. So I had like rubber socks over my shoes, and I'm literally going in and out of this raw sewage, taking stuff out of my house.
That's
like it was disgusting.
It sounds pretty rough.
But I remember just that time though. My heart just dropped when I saw all those troopers. I was like, oh my God. I was doing like 130, 138, like right around there. I'm like, oh man. Like
that flying past them is I've been in more encounters with on the bike than in the car, with the good old boys in blue, but on a bike it's just so much more easy. That's why said you got to step up to that 600 level, man. So.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
I mean, even like when we ride with 1,000 guys, the 1,000 guys fly, no matter what, whether it's straight line or they're just gone. So I mean, being able to stay with them on a 600 is, I feel is an accomplishment, and it's kind of tough to do, but I got faith in what I do. So I mean, you gotta get moving. A couple times I've been splitting traffic, and you roll up behind a stator and they're stop, hit the lights and shit. They're stuck in traffic. I mean, how can I do it?
Oh yeah,
keep going. Yeah.
I mean, I was telling my wife earlier, was when I'm riding with the guys, when I'm out on these rides on the 250, and we come up out of those turns and get those straights. I mean, I just gotta throttle it. I mean, I ride with a good handful of guys that ride 1,000 cc's, but they obviously don't push them to that level. They kind of hold back. I mean, but just the acceleration side of it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, my bike doesn't have that acceleration.
Well, even like the 1,000 guy, even being on a 600, it doesn't matter. Even that they still keep that not wailing on it all the time, because even if you're leading, like I lead all the time, I'm always leading. So those guys can come around you at any point in time, but they if you got good guys riding behind you, you really don't have to worry, because they're gonna hold back a little bit more. They can move around just as quick as you can at full pin. So I mean, it's nice. It's nice that some of those guys do. But you get some of the guys that on these random rides that they just like to get juicy, and then I'll just take the back. I just get in the back, just sit back there and watch them get loose. So.
That was kind of like the first time you rode behind me.
Oh yeah, well
what was your comment?
Well, it was all you guys. I didn't ride with you guys at all. It was you, Tyler, and Cameron.
Tyler and Cameron.
Cameron. What's the other cat's name? Brandon.
From Pine.
Yeah. And when you ride with different people like that, I find you guys on Facebook, and I love riding, so I was like, I'll go with you guys. It's always good to see how other people ride, just to make sure, because I know what I'm gonna take care of my end, to make sure I'm doing it. It's good to see what other guys are gonna do too.
Oh yeah.
And I think Jeff was even out there too.
I rode with him a couple times.
Yeah.
But mainly it was Tyler and Cameron
Yeah.
were the most, and then you started riding with you, and then I got a handful of guys I always meet up with here and there. Like the last ride the guy was on, me and this one guy was on a Sportster, what the heck was it? The Harley.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The Sportster, but we just went through Starved Rock. I think it was in December. That was my last ride.
I ride with my brother-in-laws, and they all ride, and my father-in-law rides, and I'm trying to push on my wife to get her to do it, and You know, it's a great time, man. And I ride Harleys too. You know, I got some Harleys that I get to ride, and it's a different kind of ride. You know, you get to see a lot more than you see on the Rocket. You know,
Oh yeah,
it's more comfortable. You know, it's like a flying couch instead of, you know, being strapped to a 400-pound piece of metal. You know, but yeah, it was so beautiful that I had to get out. I had to get out today, for sure. And even the roads didn't have a lot of melted snow on them neither. A lot of that's all in a ditch already, and so hopefully it stays like this. But you know, it might be the second. It might be the second winter. This might be fall summer right here, and they're gonna, you know, we're gonna get hit with another -50 blast, and you know, I'm done.
Well, if the government fires up that weather machine again.
You know, I asked for that. I think I even shared a thing that said, "Can you share some of that global warming?" And I think they shared too much. You know, I think they're gonna have to give good old Bill Gates a call and see what he has up his sleeve. You know, fire up the good old weather lab.
I mean, what was your take on that? I mean, to think that like Texas was being punished with the weather machine.
You know, I heard a bunch of stuff with China. You know, being just it's their year and their technology accomplishments and stuff like that. You know, I've never been to China, so how do I know that they don't have these capabilities or things like that? You don't know. I mean, there's some things that get leaked out where, you know, the Chinese are just mocking us, you know, and they're like, hey, you know, we got orange out of there now. Now we got people that we're paying to, you know, the stock market runs America, China runs the stock market, you know, so, you know, it's all about them coming up. You know, they built 10 hospitals in 3 months. We can't build a new hospital in 3 years, you know, so, I mean, it almost makes you think, is America holding the rest of the world back? Like, think about that, as, you know, is America actually holding the rest of the world back from being, you know, more advanced in healthcare, more advanced in, you know, clean energy, or more advanced in education, or things like that, you know, just because, you know, we want to be number one all the time? You know, it's like, you could sort of, you know, do you believe everything you hear from your TV, or do you want to? I want to hear it from other people, you know, and I want to hear it from what other people are going around in the world. And usually, what you hear is like, man, America, like, stand up, you know, like you guys are being just stripped of everything. You know, like,
Yeah.
Stand up, and everybody's fine with it. Everybody's fine with it, and it's kind of worrisome, you know.
Complacency.
Yep.
That's pretty much, I mean, it's just come down to complacency. Not the fact that everybody agrees with what's going on. It's just so complacent. And if you have no training, but even if the people have training, they you know, you gotta find people that are willing to do what needs to be done. You know, and a lot of people don't agree with what needs to be done. Like, I honestly, I don't want to go out and fight a civil war.
No, absolutely.
You know, I mean, I don't think anybody really does to a point, but it's like, at the same time, it's like, we're civilized enough to be able to figure this out. As long as we allow our system to work the way it's supposed to work, and it works the way it's supposed to work, we would be fine. It would, you know, everybody can have their opinion, but if you govern from the middle, you're totally fine.
Well, you know, it goes back to, you know, big corporations, and, you know, even monopolizing things with subsidizing, you know, businesses. If, you know, you got some of these, you know, like, let's take for instance Walmart. You know, Walmart taking up every type of business opportunity they can, buying all kinds of land they can to put stores in these places where little towns will need that big store. You know, the mom and pop stores, the fabric stores and stuff that are around here are nothing when you could buy a roll of fabric from Walmart for $4, you know, and mom and pop shop wants 10 because they have to, you know, do a little bit more to get it. So, you know, once you're able to, you know, weed out personal consumption on a you know, on your own town basis, you know, to where you can only get it from one person. Well, I mean, they're just basically monopolizing it without doing it in front of your face. You know, they're just weeding out the weaker guys, and I mean, that's just survival of the fittest. You got corporations with billions and billions of dollars being, you know, given via the, you know, the Bill Gates Melinda Fund or whatever they got going on, and, you know, even with the Clintons and shit, with all their shit floating around. You know, it's, you know, it's money that you couldn't even fathom. You know, it's money that if you thought you could change it just by getting a group of people together and protesting, hell no. That's already been decided. You know, it's been decided.
Oh, yeah.
You know, And it's just sad that you can't do anything about it. And as an American, it's your job to be destroying these people, you know, foreign or domestic. And I mean, look at the Capitol right now. It's a total police state, surrounded by barbed wire, you know, fencing. You got, you know, 25,000 troops still stationed in Washington, D.C. You know, that's a standing army on American soil. But Washington, D.C. isn't an American city. It's Washington, D.C., you know, so it's like its own little country. But, I mean, you know, where do you stop it? You know, I mean...
Well, that was like a big thing. That I remember having a conversation with a soldier one time. How they said... I think this was back when, I think it was between when Obama and Romney were running. And a lot of people were kind of saying the same kind of things. And they were like, well, what side of the Constitution are these people going to stand on? And he's like, well, we're going to stand for what's right. Well, I mean, you got two different sides here. You got two different sides of people saying what's right, what's wrong. But then you have the military and you have the police forces that are defending what they're told to defend. So realistically, they could be defending the wrong side.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what, because they're just doing their job, what they're told to do. But the problem when it comes down to that, there's a thing called the wrong side of history, and we've seen that for World War II, in Germany. You know, there was people that were just doing their job because everything was legal then.
Yeah.
So you had these people doing their job, but when it all came down to it and the war was won, you had obviously Israel was the biggest one. There being, you know, the genocide. So they decided, we're going to go after these people. We're going to hold these people accountable. I mean, they were going into like, what, Argentina and finding these guys up into the 80s and 90s still. Taking them back and charging them with war crimes and all that stuff. So there is a wrong side of history to be on. And it's unfortunate because you don't really know at that time what you're doing. Yeah. You're just doing your job.
Yeah, you know, and I mean, everybody makes a decision. You know, you make a decision and you have to live with that. You know, that consequence that you're going to live with. You know, and you know whether it's right or it's wrong. You know, you just learn from it, either build from it or let it destroy you. You know, and I mean, there's gonna be a bad side to what's happening here. You know, whether it be, you know, nobody wants a civil war. Nobody's ready for that. Nobody's ready for that. I mean, you're talking about total. It'll be just worst parts of the Bible ever. You know, and it gets to, you know, where do we get maybe some elected officials to actually listen to people? You know, and I don't think you'll ever get that until you get the big corporations out of government, but you won't. You know, those guys want to stay rich and they're making it to where they just keep themselves rich. You know, I heard this thing the other day that was about you know, college enrollmentship to these, you know, Ivy League colleges, you know, Yale, Harvard, and things like that. Their average median income for those kids, you know, they're $250,000 a year, $350,000 a year. You know, I didn't grow up with that kind of money. You know, I mean, and so what's the chances of, you know, me going there or my kids going? I don't make that kind of money. So what's the chances of my kids going to a school like that? They won't. You know, they'll never be able to. It's the rich that'll keep going to those schools and the poor will keep going to the poor schools. You know, so, you know, you always have, I think that's what more or less creates the right and left. You know, the government just wants to stay rich. The left is sort of with the poor people and the right is sort of with the rich. So, you know, and then you got, you know, regular people like us in the middle that, you know, just get the shit end of it, you know, and we're stuck to, you know, talk and decipher and figure out which one's less evil, you know, and then hopefully we pick the right one so we don't end up on the wrong side of history, you know, because I mean that'd be terrible, you know, to be on that, but you know you got to stand for what you believe in too, you know.
Well, that's exactly it. You stand what you believe in. I just believe, like, maybe if I was back in World War II and I was pushing a bunch of people into a furnace and lighting them on fire, I'd probably believe in a way that this probably ain't right. But I'm just doing my job, right? I mean, that's kind of what a lot of them said. You know, you have to. I read it. I'm all into World War II history, man. I love that stuff, and I read that, you know, you have to create a culture of hatred that's so high to create genocide. You know, to get a group of people to hate, you know, a group of people so much that they'll actually willingly be able to discard of them. You know,
if you don't get that whole group to do it, you'll have them little coups and little resistance pockets, and people hey, this is wrong, but if everybody's doing it, well then, everybody's doing it, it's okay, then it must be okay, and then that's how you end up on the wrong side. And even when they liberated like some of the concentration camps and stuff, they brought whole German towns, to these places, like, hey, you want to see what you guys were, here you go, and we'll walk them through there. I just watched the whole World War II in color on Netflix, being in the house, and there's some good stuff in there. But if you listen to that, it's almost like a TV show that's playing out right now, like the same stuff. Democratic left-wing group, wins the presidency, and they do all these good things for society, for their group of people, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, we don't like these people because these people are stopping us from making good roads. So why don't we get rid of these people? Or as far as the government in place now, the people who supported Trump being, right-wing terrorists, and if you supported a Republican candidate, you should be removed from office, and you should resign. I think they did that to that woman in, I want to say it was Georgia, I think it was, where they were trying to get her to leave office because she supported Trump and she shouldn't be elected. Like you can't do that with a republic. And that's what we have. And they're trying to change it so bad. And somebody's gonna snap sometime, and you just gotta hopefully you pick the right side. Hopefully you pick the right side.
Yeah, just definitely. That's just one thing. It's just hard. It's hard to watch because you could see that hatred being built up today, and it's kind of in a way where we kind of go back to what we talked about in the very beginning about trying to be less white, because they're talking about a specific ethnicity, and I don't believe it's happening. I believe that the people that are in charge of doing this don't have the same intentions as the people in the past that had it. I just believe they're just trying to use people to put something ahead of an agenda.
Yeah.
That's how I believe it. I don't believe it's like, I'm not saying it's ill-mannered in a way, but it's not like we're going to go burn all these people. I think it's going to be more, I'm not saying that the people wouldn't think of doing that. I'm just saying that the people, I think it just comes down to money. You got to think in the last 4 years, a lot of people in places lost a lot of money. Like rich people lost a lot of money because of certain things they were putting into place in the last 4 years. That made the economy better, but it made other people's economies worse. But we were like, it was basically America first. That's what the whole administration was trying to do.
Yeah.
But you have these rich people in this country that have connections with people outside this country that are losing money now. And those people are getting loud. And that's why we're seeing what happened. They're just trying to basically get it back to that point where everybody's happy again. And that's kind of what's happening. But again, it's creating a group of people of hatred towards something for no reason. Because they don't realize, they don't see that agenda. No. They don't see what's really being done. And the other people don't care.
No.
Because
I like to fish and I'm always sharing, if you're on my Facebook page, I'm always sharing craziness. And, I just threw a line out the other day just because I read some things, about our current president, and, we had some people bite. But the people that know me and that personally know me, knew better, and it was just, to see what people did. And it's, this is people that would say that they like you, but then if you make, a joke about, good old Mr. Joe, it's instantly you're not part of that group anymore, all for a guy that doesn't give a shit about you. He doesn't care if you're going to eat dinner tonight. He doesn't care if your car's going to run tomorrow. How's that $15 an hour working? Yeah, that went straight to federal employees. Hey, good job for that one. It's almost like police. Police are paid to lie. They are told to lie to get you to give up information. That is their job, is to get information on you. So it's the same thing with a politician. Everything that Joe Biden said, where's the coronavirus stem at? They got stuff in that 1.9 trillion bill for like bridge rebuilding and stuff like that in California. Aqueduct manufacturing in Canada. What does that have to do with COVID relief if it's so deadly? And like you said, making making people happy, to have that happy medium to where the, you know, maybe the airplane and weapons makers are happy as the big hedge fund guys now, you know, and getting them back to that level. I don't think you'll ever have that. One side's going to want to win more, you know. And I mean,
I just want Dogecoin to go to $1.
yeah, right. Yeah, well, you know, if it does, man, it's going straight to the moon, baby. Straight to the moon.
You got some Dogecoin?
I don't.
I got Dogecoin.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
My brother-in-law's in. He asked me if I was into the stock market stuff, and I wasn't. I just, you know, I was into what GameStop did. You know, what GameStop did, not watching those guys on Reddit buy it all up for the short selling, which was pretty crazy. And I mean, it's good to see the American people fighting back. I mean, it's good to see groups like that doing that. You know, and I think it needs to be spread more. You know, even one of my neighbors bringing us dinner, you know, and stuff like that. It's when I was a kid, you knew everybody that lived on the block. You know, you knew what they did, how many kids they had, what kind of dog they had, what kind of car they drove to work, who worked in the daytime, who worked in the night. Today, I could walk down my street now. I know I live in a small town, but I don't know the neighbor that lives on the far corner. I don't know the neighbor that lives right across the street. I don't know the neighbor that lives over there that has, you know, looks like a single mother with like 2 kids. I don't know you don't know anybody in your own neighborhood, in your own personal neighborhood. And I feel like that sense of, you know, not knowing the people around you and not being able to communicate with those people really just like even drives the spike further. You know, if you don't know that person, you can't relate to that person. So, you know, if they got a, you know, Biden Harris, you know, placard in their yard, you know, you might not know that maybe they're a union worker and they got it from their union hall or something, you know, something like that. You know, I mean, I get all that, but not knowing is not knowing. You can instantly judge them easier.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And I think people really stepped away from being able to talk to each other, you know, and communicate and, you know, stuff like that. So if we get back to the basics, you know, of just human interaction, you know, and get off the you know,
social
phone
media
boxes, social media and all that, you know, you'll be way better off, you know, way better off.
I don't know. I don't know if you felt like, I felt like lately that social or Facebook alone, it just feels like a ghost town now. It feels like when you post stuff out there, it doesn't feel like it gets the engagement that it used to get. Now I'm not looking for I don't need a lot of likes. I'm not looking for that. I just noticed that it doesn't seem to be anybody on it. It seems like you're just kind of pushing something out into some empty thing now. It just feels that way.
I mean, even to connect with people that are far away, I get it. You know, we move away from our parents and we move away from other places and we separate from people. That's great. But before you had a phone in your pocket, what would you do? You'd load up the family and go see that person, or go maybe have dinner at somebody's house, or have a game night with another family, or, you know, maybe another family invites you over somewhere and you move around and you create these, you know, relationships with people, and that's how you make friends. Well, now you can make a friend with the press of a button that you don't even know. You know, you don't know what that person's like off of that phone or off of that computer. You know, so I feel like even the personal connection between people is more, you know, phone to phone than really people to people. You know, I mean, it really doesn't matter what you're like in a person because I can see everything right in front of me. You know, so I mean, I think we just need to go back to, you know, drinking in basement bars. And I was telling my wife the other day we should have a conversation pit. You know, good old bean bags in the center of the whole room. You know, and be able to just sit there and talk and shoot the shit. You know, I mean, it's good times. Well, I mean, you can't even do that now because you can't even go anywhere. You have to have a mask everywhere. So.
Well, I mean, that's one good thing about kind of where we do live. I mean,
we kind of
like the county I'm in, obviously they didn't really shut anything down. Mm-hmm. I mean, we were able to. I mean, obviously we're masked here or there, but I'm saying you could go to the bars, you can go to the restaurants. You know, we were almost like Wisconsin was. Yeah. Wisconsin was still kind of open. Our state's attorney decided, hey, we're not going to prosecute anybody. Keep your businesses open. Do what you got to do. And then everybody just used the mask law. Everybody wear a mask.
Yep.
And, you know, everybody, you know, they still separate you in the restaurants. They still do this. You know, they still do it safely as they think they're doing. But I just think that the only way we're going to get back to normal is when the people decide to stop. I mean, like Italy. Italy was on full lockdown in the very beginning of the whole thing. And, I mean, they shut down everything. These people went home, stay home, and they obviously got hit pretty hard with this. A lot of people passed.
Yeah, but it was the demographic in Italy.
The demographic's different. A lot of people, you know, you got the elderly live in the homes, so everybody's more receptive to be able to spread it faster. So anybody that's going to die is, unfortunately, that's going to happen. But when they decided to do a second lockdown on these people, They were like, nope, not gonna happen. I think 2 days the government was like, oh, we can't do anything, sorry. That's it. And the people took it back. The people, that was it. But
it's almost the people's strength in that country. You know, it shows the Italian strength. You know, and their strength and unity and what they believe. And I mean, there's so much division in America that
no, it's divide and conquer.
Oh yeah.
That's just ultimately what it is. I mean, it's funny that like a lot of people, it's kind of like when Trump was running for presidency. All these things that he was doing. It's like if you just read his books, you wouldn't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
There's like, you don't tell me that nobody on the Democratic side read a book that Donald Trump wrote. He was a Democrat until he ran for president almost.
Yeah.
So you would think they would have read his book.
Well, I mean, nobody told you to hate Donald Trump until the TV told you to hate Donald Trump. I loved him on The Apprentice. I loved him on The Apprentice.
Oh no, I mean, if you turn around and look at it, you look at all those books.
Yeah, hey, see, I mean, nobody hated him until they were told they hate him. And I mean, once they were, I mean, it's just like, hey, look at all the shit that they're not doing that they said they were going to do. It's power play on either end. I just hope in the near future that I teach my kids enough about the way I was raised, and that they carry with them, at least that little bit of American fabric with them, so they're not totally blind to it,
Yeah, it's just people just need to be educated. What was that?
I think we got some comments in here.
Oh, go ahead and play a comment.
Oh, we are echoing. Are we in echoers?
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just.
Yeah, just keep playing them. What's gross?
We probably said
maybe the raw sewage.
Yeah, maybe
the raw sewage. Yeah. Shane's missing his bike again.
Yeah.
That's twice he's missed his bike.
Oh, is this another one?
What did he butt dial?
I think he might have butt dialed.
He must have butt dialed a comment? Way to go, Shane. You butt dialed a comment.
Oh. I didn't really even hear that one. No.
Well, I would expect nothing less than somebody with Captain Ahab to sing a
Captain
pirate
Ahab, that sounds like a captain that I would roll with. It sounds like he knows how to party.
He's got the patch.
And I mean, if he has the patch, that means he has night vision. So that's like a high quality trait to have.
Yeah,
for sure.
Night vision on the patch.
Oh yeah, well that's why they wear the patches. That's why pirates wear the patch. They wore that patch to cover up one eye and keep one eye always in the dark, so that when nighttime came around, they always were able to see at nighttime. They would cover up the other eye, and that eye was already adjusted to the dark. That's why they wore that eye patch, not because they were missing an eye. They used it for night vision. So at nighttime, when they were sailing at night, they would flip the patch up and put it to the other eye, and the eye was already adjusted to total darkness. So they'd be able to see ships through their telescope and everything first, because the eye was already adjusted. Didn't know that, did you?
No, that's.
Oh yeah,
I learned something
little quick
tonight.
one on there, huh? A little piratery there.
I wore a patch over my eye when I was little, just trying to stop my eye from going cross-eyed.
Oh well, hey.
But I could have night vision.
Yeah, there you go. I was in reading some Jolly Roger stuff, and that was in there. I was like, no shit, man.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, if you think about it,
it's cool that they think of that stuff like.
Well, I mean,
back in those times.
Oh yeah, I mean, pre anything, you're talking traveling on boat, week travels, month travels, and I mean that's pretty cool. I learned that, and I was just like, man, I thought it was because they were missing one eye too, but it was to always have one eye adjusted to the dark at all times.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Any other comments?
No, that's it.
Oh, that was it, huh? What time are we at? What is it? 8:06? All right. Well, it's a good hour. You got anything else? You want to like any other?
You know, I don't got much more, man. I mean, you know, it was nice to get out there and talk about some of the shit that's going on. You know, it was nice to get on the bike. You know, I wish you would have came with me today. You know, but I know you had a lot of shit to do, so we'll get out there sooner than later. You know.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna try to get it going tomorrow. Or yeah, tomorrow and be able to get everything.
Oh yeah.
Probably just need.
Well, if it's nice out tomorrow, maybe I might go too again. Who knows?
Oil change.
I might get out there again.
Oh yeah. I don't probably need much besides just check the battery out and make sure everything was good. But yeah. Well, so far, you know, we can end this. So I mean, next week I'm actually gonna have a guest host. A guy that I worked with in the past and, you know, had a lot of good times with. And it looks like we're going to talk about his Corona love. He actually fell in love during the Corona time. And we're going to be able to hear some of his crazy dating stories of the Corona. So let's tune in next week.